Hi!
Hello!
Welcome to episode number 15 of Mom's Talk with a French accent. We're the French moms.
Yeah, we have a French accent.
We have the accents. We took it with us today. Welcome. Hi. Hello. Thank you for joining. Hi. We're going to be joined in a couple of seconds by our home pediatrician, Dr. Varisa Perlman. But stick around because today is going to be a little different. So we're super excited. Hi, everybody who's joining now. Welcome. So we're super excited because today we're doing something a little new.
Hi,
Varisa.
How are you?
I love
Hi. Your whole wardrobe of these shirts.
Yes.
These are so cool.
Yes, look at that. We're like getting more and more fancy by the day. So we're going to have those on our website soon, so stay tuned for that. So we're here today for episode number, We're here for episode number 15. We have something special today. Fanny, do you want to talk about what's special today?
Yeah, so today for everybody that joined us during the live, we will ask you a question and you just put your answer in the comments, and at some point on the live, we will pick one comment and you will have the opportunity to win one of our products. So that will be our bundle. That's a little gift set, and inside you have all of our products. You have the diapering lotion and the diapering balm, and also disposable pad to use the lotion. So stay tuned and just listen for the question, and we hope that you're gonna engage in the comment and you will be entered to win this awesome kit.
And we'll announce the winner during the live, so you have to stay here to claim your prize. Hi, Lisa. Hi, everybody who's been joining. So let's get to it then. Today's topic is postpartum. And hi everyone joining. So today is postpartum, and we are going to go around and maybe introduce ourselves for those of you who don't know us. So I'm Cecile. I'm one of the co-founders here at Petite Creme. The expert in butt health, how we like to call it, with a French accent, because everything is French sounds a little more cute than, butt. So we'll throw that in there.
So I'm Fanny. I'm the other co-founder of Petite Creme, and I'm also a mom of two. First daughter is 5 years old, and I have a small one with almost turned 2.
Hi.
And Varisa here.
Dr. Varisa Perlman. I'm a pediatrician and also a health coach, and I'm based out of New York. But when I was in Miami, I was a pediatrician for these two beautiful families. So that's how we met. This is how we started working together.
Yeah, so today we are continuing on our series that we started a couple of months now ago regarding everything around topics that are very close to the heart of mothers, right? Because we are all mothers, as Fanny mentioned. Yeah. She has 2 kids. Varisa, you have 2 children as well, and I have 2 kids. So we share the same experience of being a mother with a whole different aspect in each of our lives. And we pick topic that we want to dissect and come with a new perspective on, very honestly and very naively, I would say. So today we pick postpartum, because postpartum is a whole important, very vulnerable phase of a woman's life.
Yeah.
And we thought it was important to talk about this period of time and share some of the things that maybe we have experienced, that some of them are not really talked about too much. Yeah. And also, try to get your sense for what postpartum means to you who are watching, and what you wish you had known before, and what you have learned and would like to carry away to a future pregnancy or to your motherhood style in general. So, yeah, so that's the topic for the day. Varisa, do you want to put in on what your postpartum were aspirations?
The reason why I like talking about this topic is because I do think that there isn't a lot of thought given to it. And I'm not even talking about I think that we talk about things in a very kind of floaty way. So I just want to be well rested and happy, and I'll be with and I just think that there are so many moving parts that need to happen. The moving parts that are the most obvious is that your body you just gave birth is going through a lot. And there's a lot of changes that your body kind of has to adjust to, that we don't always give space for to discuss. And then there's also the other piece of this chaotic, moving, developmentally, kind of physically changing baby. You know, when I do a lot of the talks, maybe to like people who are pregnant or whatnot, when I do like things to prepare for, you'll see me only talk about the first 2 weeks. And there are people sitting there and they're just like, what do you mean just the first 2 weeks? Like, what do we, and I'm like, you don't understand, like those first 2 weeks, it's like a day-to-day game. The days, the things that change from day to day are so incredible that sometimes you just need time to just even talk about the first 2 weeks. So as we talk, you're going to hear me kind of spread the concept of postpartum a little bit longer. You know, I feel like, you know, that first year to me, you know, is such a moving space. And then once you go past the 2 weeks, then, you know, you go to the 1 month, and then the 2 months they start getting shots, if they are getting shots, and they start to kind of have more developmental goals, you know, 4 to 6 months, you know, and then there's feeding, there's all kinds of stuff. But then 4 to 6 months, you end up having issues with starting to talk about some solid food coming into it. I feel like the food really, sleep is also moving around. You know, your milk supply is changing around depending on your activity level if you're breastfeeding. And then after 6 months, you go to 9 months, and now they're much more mobile. They're much more interactive, so they're a little bit more fun in some ways, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they're also more and more difficult. And then you go 9 to 12 months. So I kind of, your progress, your kind of experience is going to be colored by what developmental stage your kids are in. So I can't separate the two. You know, it's hard to separate the two.
To go even further than that, it feels like postpartum is kind of like almost your new state after you have kids. Like it's, you have to realize that your body might never be the same. You will never be the same. The whole, as you mentioned, like that dance between baby and mom will never be the same. So it feels like there is a prepartum and a postpartum. Like there's a before and after, right? In so many aspects, because how many times when you have, my kids are a little older, they're like 10 now, but how many times am I looking back and like, what was I doing before? Like, that's a new state of, you know, life. But it does feel like the postpartum is that whole new phase of where you're always very attuned with the baby, right? So, but it starts with the first, okay, so the first few weeks, months, what would be in all of us, what should be one of the memory, maybe Varisa or you, Fanny, and I'm sure mine too, of one of the things that strike us that we probably didn't anticipate during that postpartum time.
Yeah. Why don't you guys go ahead, and I'm gonna like clean that up a little bit, because I feel like, because I definitely feel like I feel like what you're gonna say is probably what I'm gonna say. So you start first, and then I'll kind of give you how I've seen it play out. You know, kind of based on what you say. Go ahead.
Do you want to start?
So I can start. So I don't know if it's a memory, but the thing that hit me the most when I was in postpartum, mostly for my first child, because I think postpartum is more like intense when it is your first child. For me, it was the case. That was like, I think the lack of communication when you are pregnant around the bonding you and your baby. So I get a lot of guilt because I had trouble and needed adjustment to really bond with my baby. So I felt so guilty. As a mom, I was like, what is my problem? I loved her, of course, but you know, the bonding that everybody is describing, I was like, okay, I did not felt in love in this birthing room, and I felt so bad about it. And after a couple of weeks, only weeks, I kept it for myself. I felt so bad, and I shared that with my friend around, and almost all of my friends say, oh no, but don't worry, it's totally fine. Everybody is like that, and you just, for some people, you just learn how to bond with your baby. It's not like something is natural for everybody. So I felt so relieved after this conversation. I was like, okay, so I'm not a monster. That's a good thing. So I share with my husband and I say, you know what? I spoke to this person, and they felt the same. So I'm good.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my experience, and I didn't get that for my second one because I was prepared and say, okay, let's learn to know him and me as a mom of him. So, and I was way better.
Yeah, the expectation was different.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
for
ahead,
me
Cecile.
was I have a vivid memory of the 6 months mark for my daughter.
Yeah.
The 6 months to me came as a wall. Like I think I had anticipated the postpartum as being, as you said, the first few weeks, like the sleep and the eating, and I felt like I had that, and I had support for that, and I had prepared for that.
Right.
But then as the presence of others and the caring and people, being aware that you're a new mom, that kind of fade off, and you become like just a normal person again in the world of, in the eyes of others. So nobody really give you the call to say, can I help you with something? And then you probably either return to work or your spouse is now at work. Everything falls into place, but your body is not there yet. And I really felt the exhaustion from breastfeeding. I felt like I was just physically drained, and I felt very lonely, and I felt very useless because I was with this child every day, and I was like, I'm not creating anything. Like I'm just here day after day, and every day looked the same. So to me, that was really that intense moment where I thought that by now I should be like, okay, good to go. Now I'm a mom, right? I'm out of that postpartum, whatever. But that to me was really a very important point that was difficult to go over.
So yes. Yes. Okay. So there's a lot of, the reason why I wanted you guys to go first is because I wanted you to, I had a couple thoughts in my mind, and it helped me kind of organize them a little bit. So there are two elements, there's a couple of elements two themes that kind of came out when I think of postpartum, and two of the things that I actually focus on the most when I see families at that stage, in the first visits. I see babies and their families sometimes less than 24 hours after they're born, right? Like I see them very quickly, and then I'll see them in the office, at 3 weeks, or at 5 days, at 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 4 months. So it's watching a movie, and what was so amazing to me, there are two themes that I thought were really resonating with what you were saying. One was expectation. Both of you, did we all see a movie? Was there a movie that someone sent all of us with our pregnancy tests that said, congratulations, you are pregnant, and this is how it's supposed to go, right? You're supposed to gaze. You guys are basically like describing cartoons, right? Like you gaze at the child and your eyes lock. I mean, if you actually listen back to yourselves, right? You're describing things that are like, they sound silly. Like, like when I first fall in love, this is how it's going to be, and all of us know when you fall in love, it's pretty messy. The whole thing is pretty messy. It's not like instantaneous, like, like it comes, but yet that is the real that plays in our head. So if I was going to talk to someone who was about to go into that space or is in that space, the first thing you want to do is just like, as many preconceived notions as you have, like literally hit the delete button. Just delete them, okay? Because you are basically walking into a pool of chaos. You know what I mean? Like between your baby and your body, when you're pregnant, there is chaos, but there's usually not that other energy. Like you're really focused on yourself. I don't have to tell someone who's pregnant, you got to eat well, make sure eat, sleep, stress, right? They all know that that's important. But for some reason, you give birth, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't need to do any of those things. I'll be just fine. I'll fall in love with my child. It's like, wait. When did the movie change? Why did we change to this one? This is a bad movie. We're all gonna fail. We all are gonna fail, and leave ourselves with senses of guilt and loneliness. That was two things that you guys really. I think that this is they have some crazy statistics where like by 6 months, men and women of newly born child are like 80% are clinically depressed. I mean, it's just, the movie is just false. It's just all false. So if I was going to give any advice, I always tell people just like let it go. The reason why I think that sometimes the second one is easier is because you see how what a disaster the first one is. So you realize that you really don't have control over everything, and you kind of give up a little bit more, and actually that breeds a better environment, right? So let's talk about environment. So if I'm sitting here and I'm pregnant, which, you know, I'm not getting to say that loud because my husband would like freak out. Our kids are in college now, so just joking about it. He said, don't joke about that. Don't joke about that. But, you know, if I was sitting here, I was pregnant, right? I would start thinking, who's coming by my house? Who's visiting me? Who's going to be the support person? Who's going to be there when I need someone to hold the baby while I'll take a shower? Who are the people? Who are the phone calls? Who are the phone calls I'm going to be making? Who are the phone calls I'm going to make? Like, who are the people around me, the environment? Because, you know, how am I going to eat? How is the food going to come? Eat, sleep, stress, right? How am I going to have those? Which friends are going to come over? They're going to cheer me up and say, hey, like, what are you doing? What's going on? Because in the end of the day, what destroyed kind of your vision was that you thought this baby would pop out. It wasn't that you weren't in love with the baby, but you were not in love with the situation. You were not in love.
Yeah.
You were not in love with that situation. And the thought that it would have to be continuing the situation where you're not sleeping, you're barely eating, you don't know where you are, you're hurting everywhere. You know, who loves that? Who wants to be in love with that? Why is that a setting to fall in love? Like, I would be like, can you just get me out of here? But you see how you place that on the baby. That must mean I'm not in love with the baby.
Yes.
Because I don't
We have couple of people that just joined. So hi to everybody. Just gonna remind that we are talking about postpartum. So welcome everyone. Just let us know in the comment if you are pregnant or if you are actually in a postpartum or just have like an older kid. We would love to know if you are pregnant or if you are in a postpartum period. That way we can cheer you up.
Yes.
So yes, let us know, and also just want to remind people who are watching that we are gonna give away today our products. So that's our diapering lotion and our diapering balm and the cotton pad that you use to apply. So if you are pregnant or you are in a postpartum period, that's a wonderful things to win. So let us know in the comments if you are pregnant or in your postpartum period. Would like to know and interact with you directly.
And if you don't have kids who may need those products, you could use them yourself.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to push this whole, like, this is for the women too, because I think it's a great product for women at multiple places on our body that are sensitive. So just
and it's good for postpartum, so it's very fitting because you can use the lotion for postpartum after you have your baby when you're, private parts are pretty sensitive from like everything that went down there. So using that lotion would make the wiping easier.
Yes.
So just a side note to that. So sorry, you were saying.
So, like, I think that I would try to think about, like, how am I going to get food? Who's going to bring food? Like, what's the schedule? You might say that, like, I'm going to have this group of people come in the beginning of my pregnancy, and then around 6 months, maybe people with kids will come and visit me then, so that they can cheer me up, and we can have a little time where the kids will actually start to play together, and we can talk, and I can feel like a normal person for about 15 minutes, you know? Mm-hmm. But I feel it. And also, I mean, we talk about stress. Like, what family members do you want in your space? What family members do you not want in your space? I mean, you are allowed to say that. You are allowed to make those decisions. But when you spend a little bit, it was interesting because, Fanny, you actually mentioned the second one, you kind of had an easier time because of that. Because you actually did take a look and you were like, okay, now I know who do I really need around and who do I do not want. I don't need them around.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You know better.
Right?
Yeah.
And so the first time around, it is hard, but at least you have to have a little bit of thought. I felt like there was a lot of when you come home and there's a lot of people and they're all trying to help and everybody kind of takes things away from you, but what means that is that they kind of think, oh, these people are going to come over, that person's, and you also lose control of your environment. So just add that to a list of reasons why you don't feel so in love with.
All people doesn't necessarily want someone home. Like
Yeah.
they feel like it's their private moment with their family, and they don't want
Yes.
to have like a schedule of person coming and.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah.
when people just say, "How can I help you?" It's for you, it's overwhelming because you don't know
Yeah.
what you need.
You don't.
At this period, it's so foggy,
Yeah.
and you just like not even able to say what you need.
Yeah. Well, it's
You just
interesting.
need someone to give you something and say, "Okay,
Yeah.
that was I needed."
So we have Sammy J26 in
Yeah.
the comment who said you're postpartum with your second and last baby. So
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes. And we hope you're enjoying that period to enjoy the baby, because that's really what the
Yes.
most important, right? Like,
Yes.
hug them tight, and by doing that, you're doing already a great job. So
Exactly, and that what we need to do not forget, like as you said, Cecile, you had the impression that you produce nothing, but that's totally wrong because
Yeah.
we are making like a human being, and we make that human being survive.
Yeah.
So that's a full-time job right there, but
Yes.
we do not recognize it as much as we need, as we should, because it's a tremendous work that we produce
I mean,
every day, and you have to be on top of every day because
Yeah.
you know
yes.
it's every day.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you were kind of, I think that we could all rattle off what women who are pregnant should eat, right? And we all kind of know, yes, of course, like if we are pregnant, what we eat affects how the baby grows, and right? Everyone seems to understand that. But the minute the baby's taken out of the woman's body, there's no connection. And even if you're not breastfeeding, if you are like completely like no energy, I can't do anything because you haven't eaten all day,
yeah,
it doesn't work. So I never understood why we disconnected that when the baby was born. I mean, I've had a woman, she was trying to breastfeed and she didn't have any milk, and it was 4 o'clock. She was one of my last patients. And I asked her, so the first question I asked her, she's like, I'm not making any milk. What did you eat today? It's 4 o'clock. And she goes, I haven't eaten anything all day. The baby's been so difficult. I've been having eaten. So I said, where's the milk supposed to come from? Like from the sky? Like it's like what you eat is what goes into the milk. And I don't exactly know why there's this strange disconnect. But, one of the things that you talk about, and I mean, again, I think that a lot of it's big shifts, and, mental wellness gets affected in a big way. And I think that we should, it's a very, like I said, there's such a common element of even men and women both having a lot of kind of issues adjusting to that period of the first 6 months. But here you are, Fanny, where like you're like, why isn't this spontaneous kind of like love affair with this baby not happening? But if your body's like, I am not even sure what day it is, I didn't sleep all night, like nothing is gonna look lovely to me. Like I'm not falling in love with anybody.
And also you mentioned the situation, because you, no matter how old you are when you have your child, you were with yourself prior to this intruder coming into your life, right? So in your relationship, in your home, in your bed, in your bathroom, you used to be just you, and you made it comfortable, hopefully for you. So having like this being who is challenging every single thing that you used to be good at or you felt comfortable doing, all of a sudden this person seems to always be poking you at the worst time. You're sitting and you're like, oh, I'm gonna eat, and then the baby stops crying. Like, anybody in the comment have this thing where every time there is warm food in front of a new mom, the baby cries every single time. There's no way you can eat warm food. So it gets hard also to not be resentful of like, okay, can it be me? Like, can it be just, give me a moment. I just want to get back to what I built over those years to be comfortable enough to say I'm going to have a baby. But it's shaking everything, which makes it difficult to find your ground, right?
Right. I mean, like, pick your people. Like, sit where you are. Let's assume that we haven't given birth, right? Because this conversation, but like, honestly, like, it should be the conversation we have with ourselves all the time, right? Like, different people are good for different reasons. right? So you were asking, like, Fanny, I think that's a very fair question. Like, if you're sitting there and you're like, but what do I need, right? What do I actually need?
Yeah.
And what you do need is that you need somebody for different like moments in your day, right? So like you're saying, being able to like actually have a meal from beginning to end that doesn't need to be reheated like 4 times because you just kept walking away from it is a luxury beyond belief. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember bringing my kids when they were able to run around, and I would have my birthday dinners at IKEA. And you say, IKEA, why would you go to IKEA for your birthday? It's because they had a little playground next to the cafeteria. And my kids would actually like the cafeteria or like the playground, and I could sit there and just eat without having to feed anyone else. I mean, I felt like I was in a 5-star French restaurant, because it was so fantastic. And it was that kind of thing where like what I needed there are actually very practical things you need. Like when you say, like, when people come over, I don't know, you're not an entertainer. People who are coming over, like, oh, I'm so excited for you to cook dinner for me. Don't invite them over. They don't need to come over. We're good. We'll see. Okay? But the people are like, hey, can I bring something over to eat? Yes. Even if you can't eat it because you're breastfeeding, you maybe can't have dairy, whatever. Somebody will eat it.
Yeah.
Food will be provided. So tell them to bring. Yes. See the IKEA thing? I feel like
the IKEA.
I go to IKEA with my toddler when I don't need anything. Yes. Free daycare.
Free daycare.
No idea. They have no idea how much sweeter their food tastes. But it doesn't have to be reheated over and over again. So yes, that's a big yes on that. So, I mean, you really need to know, like, when you come over, can you bring some food? Because honestly, like, I feel like there's never enough food. Whether it be if other kids, it's like you just bring over some food. And 2, if it's someone who really like is willing to just be present with you. I think what we have is this whole dynamic where, like, again, entertaining. It's like the hardest thing about being with your baby is to be like mentally, emotionally present with them. But if you have someone over who can't just sit with you, right? While it's tricky. You really want somebody who can just sit with you or just watch TV, watch the baby a little bit so that you
do the dishes or broom, do something that would move, put some laundry away. Anything that they see as being out of place.
Yes.
I don't know, organize stuff for half an hour.
Without asking, because you won't feel bad to ask people that visiting you do like dishes or laundry. Like, just if you visit a new mom, do whatever you think is right to do to help her. Like, just don't ask, because me personally, I would feel bad to have people in my house say, you can load the laundry and
But
if they load it and they ask you which button they're supposed to press, you're going to tell them.
It's already,
right? Forget it. Not happening. Or like bring over a food that like you think that you guys would enjoy, or like if they can even watch your kid for like 15 minutes while you take a luxurious shower.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
it
doesn't take much. It takes 15 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, most with my husband, okay, again, he's always like when I was, especially when the kids were younger, I'd always go to the bathroom or pee or whatever, especially I'd pee with the door open. And he's like, why is the door open? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like when I'm with the kids, like I have to have the door open because they come in or they knock on the door and I don't want to get up. It's like, it's so annoying. And so like, I'm always like, hey, all right, what's going on? I can yell at them from the bathroom. And it's like a terrible thing, but it's the kind of thing where like you don't have your space anymore. It's a real luxury. So being able to like help a new parent or to be a new parent when you're asking for help, it's just moments, like space. If they can watch the baby for like 15 minutes, half an hour while you take a walk around the neighborhood by yourself is like magical. Just magical, And just to remind, I know you guys are like, because we've got the free they should stay until the end, right? Stay until the end.
So we'll stay in a few minutes. We're going to ask a question and we want your comments, and whoever participates in the comment, we're going to draw one name from the comments to that one giveaway question. So stay tuned, stay around. Participate in the conversation. So we had one person who says she's in postpartum. Anybody pregnant in the audience or anybody who is just about to enter the postpartum period, who would like to raise their hand, because a lot of that happens, unfortunately, should happen before we get into that state of mind of postpartum. Unfortunately, when you are in postpartum, your brain is already consumed with so many, like, I would say, alarm trigger of like the emergency of you and your baby, like the very basic, sleep, eat, bathroom, stress for you. And then for baby, that you don't have room to kind of like reflect and think and take a step back. When you're pregnant is a perfect time to talk about postpartum, so that, as you said, the expectation can be set to where you know how to react when you are in those phases of stress and crisis afterward, right?
And I will say, I mean, I think this is a theme that we talk about a lot. And I think only because, I don't know, I feel like sometimes we're just not really encouraged to speak up for ourselves. But if you have, one of the things that you brought up that I thought was good, Fanny, is that you were talking about the second one being a space where you were able to communicate a little bit better.
Yeah.
That you felt like a little bit more like comfortable with it, and I think that, if you really have some friends who, when you're around them, just kind of feel lousy about yourself, like when they talk, they just kind of, they don't mean, people don't mean harm, but sometimes people are not as supportive as they are. That's not a good person for you to kind of invite over in those first 6 months, because you're tired, you're really sleep deprived. And Fanny, it sounds like, being able to speak to your friends and have them kind of validate that you're not, a monster, which is no way.
Yeah.
But they really, in a real time, like, we're able to kind of say, hey, what are you doing? Like, that's not something that you should be worried about. It's a game changer. It's a real game changer, and I love my husband, but I don't really hear those conversations amongst men. Like, I don't really.
Well, even within your relationship, sometimes it's hard, like, because you don't also want to share some of the stuff with your partner because they don't know either, and you don't want to be seen as like, I don't know what I'm doing, like I'm supposed to be the mother, and then the guilt kicks in again where you're like, okay, what is he going to think if he think I can't handle that, where I'm biologically programmed to have a baby, so that's my stuff, right? I should know about it. And if I don't know, then he should know even less because he doesn't have the body part to be a mom. So it also plays a role in there where even if you have the strongest relationship, it's okay if you can't speak to your partner about it. It's a fair thing to not do because they might not be the person to go to.
Yeah. And I think that, it's this idea, we always should believe that it takes a village. It really does take a village. And there's different people in your village that are useful for different things. When we talk about all the scripts, right, that are written out there as to how things are supposed to be, right? So women are supposed to fall in love the moment they see the baby, right? And I mean, I've heard guys say, yeah, for men, you don't really have to love your baby until they're like talking and walking and they're more fun. And I'm like, who told you that? But there's like universal. I've had multiple men say, yeah, me and my friends, we all agreed that the babies are not fun until they're like 3 or 4. And so we really don't, it's totally understandable if we're not bonded to them. And so I'm like, oh, so you guys get 3 or 4 years to adjust. Whereas we're like literally like thrown into the pit and being like, why don't you love your baby? It's just like, I mean, think about how crazy this is that we have a totally different script. Like they got like a better script, honestly, because it does take 3 or 4 years to like recuperate and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm cool with this, and not be resentful and not be sleep deprived and not be underfed and undernourished in every possible way, it's a crazy idea. So I mean, the things that we seem to like to talk about, the 3 of us, are things that are like kind of like a taboo thing. I mean, obviously there's like the logistics of like, the first couple of days and like breastfeeding or bottle feeding and getting your days and nights back in together, trying to sleep at night so that you can, at least the torture research says that, you need 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep to not go clinically insane.
Yeah.
So if at night, that means that
maybe that's the first thing we should teach babies when they come out. That mommy needs 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep.
Oh, you won't survive.
We had a situation, and I mean, I'm not saying I did all. I wish I had this talk when I was pregnant because I had a lot of family everywhere, And in the beginning, like everyone was holding the baby all day, and the baby slept all day. Like, you know what?
And
So
the night they are,
was
and also they are
overstimulated.
overstimulated. That's too much person touching them, and at the end of the day, they just don't want to sleep because they are overstimulated. That's a real thing. Like
And even especially when there's a lot of people around, when the baby's in the womb, they're between the two great vessels. So, you know, when you put on those womb sounds, you ever put on the womb sound things? It's like, like, why is this soothing? Like, why is, because that's a very familiar sound for them.
exactly.
So when you have a lot of people at the house, you think, oh, this is going to keep the baby up. No, the baby's like, this is great. Like, the loud noises are actually very calming to them. So we would have all these people at our house, and we were doing what I said not to do, entertaining, you know, you know, walking around with my C-section scar, like, oh yeah, sure, you want another drink? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what was thinking. And at night, I remember my husband, I would be walking up the stairs, and my baby, my first one, is he would, like, one eye would open like a pirate. And I was like, no, I know what that meant. Like, I knew that meant that the whole night we would be up. And so it really wasn't helpful in that situation to have so many people. It was just too much. It wasn't helpful. It just wasn't helpful. That's the thing that I think that we have this whole, and every culture does it. Maybe you can say a little bit to me about French families, what they do, but Asian families are very much of like, you know, listen, there's a lot of ways that every culture is annoying and great, whatever, but postpartum time for Asian families is a time where like you do give up, but they end up like cooking, cleaning, like even to it's like, and the culture is to like literally like homebound the mother for like a month, so that like everything is taken care of for them, so that they can like feed the baby, they can recuperate. It's a very like nutritive. And then other cultures I've seen, I had mothers who were like maybe Latin American, you know, being in Miami, we had a lot. And they would literally have like, I mean, the mom is less than 24 hours postpartum. I kid you not, like 20 people in the room laughing, like party. It was like a party time, right? And this poor mom's like, how do I get 20 people out of my room? Because I'm not going to open my breast to breastfeed, but I got to feed the baby. Isn't that what we're supposed to be here for? Like, and it was a very different concept in that sense of being like, let's party and a celebration, which is fantastic. But postpartum is like, that's just not a party time. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of families who were like, we loved COVID. Like, they were like, because no one could come into the rooms, you know, like postpartum. And they were like, could we make up a COVID thing like in the future? Like I want to have another one in 2 years. I don't think there'll be a pandemic, but like, could we make up something? Because I loved not having my boss there while I was trying to breastfeed, you know, my baby. Like, I really enjoyed that piece, you know?
Yeah, getting into more of a, getting a you space, which you're going to need, you know, moving forward anyway, is to nurture that time of yours for you and for your baby.
Yes.
So I think it's time.
Yeah, we're gonna just ask you the question to win the giveaway. So the question to write in a comment is, what is your best memories for your postpartum period? Because we all said like it's hard and blah blah blah, but after everything you said and we said, it's a lot of good memory also with this period, because you just have your baby, you at some point bond, you have some relationship, and so what is your best memory?
And if you're pregnant, what would be the pregnant
equivalent? What would be the one thing you are looking forward to for that period?
Exactly.
Like, what is the one positive thing that you're like, oh, that tickles me? So we'll give you a few seconds to write your comment in there. We're gonna pull the giveaway winner from one of the comments that are gonna come up now. So
we'll contact you at the end, and we will ship the bundle for you to try.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys answer this for me while we're waiting, or we're seeing where our comments are. So in French custom, those first couple days, who comes over? What happens?
We're lucky that in the French system, the healthcare is very generous. So there's one thing that makes a lot of a difference, is that there's a maternity and a paternity leave. So usually dad has a significant amount of free time, like free from work, that is paid. So it's more expected that the first few weeks are like for the parents and only the parents, and maybe like a few of the very, very close relatives. But usually the help comes in a little later, like I would say after maybe 2 weeks. That's when people feel like they can step in. So there is like a little bit of a buffer period, which I think is very related to the fact that everybody knows that mom and dad will have full time to dedicate to being, a parent. So it helps a lot.
That's really good. Maybe tell us what your best postpartum memories are.
Well, mine was, so I traveled with my daughter when she was 6 weeks old.
Ooh.
I went to France with her. Because I had a family emergency there, so I had to go.
Wow.
And but as I was there she was jet lagged. I was jet lagged. I was at 3 a.m. She was screaming I don't even know what at this point. I was just like, I know I need to sleep. And I remember vividly that as I was in that moment of like chaos in my head, not knowing who I was anymore, I looked at her, and then for the first time, she locked her eyes with mine. Like she actually, instead of being like that gating thing, she had a moment where she actually was like, "Oh, who are you?" Like, and that moment gave me the strength to say, like, "Wait a minute, there is a moment happening here. Yes, I'm tired. You're tired. I'm wondering what I can do with you. I'm exhausted, and I'm starting." But that moment of her just being like, for half a second, catching my attention, kind of put me into like the moment, like a fraction of a second. I was like, oh, you're a human being. I think it's the first time after 6 weeks that I realized she was a human being and not a blob that I had to care for, right? I know it sounds harsh, but like, I love it. Really of like, there is a human behind those eyes and this body.
Yeah. Yes, that's beautiful. That's so nice. What about you, Fanny?
So I will relate with Sam that said that just enjoying baby grow and watching them grow. And I will add that with now I'm not in a postpartum period, but when I look back at this period, I think I enjoyed the hug and the time that you can spend just with your baby in your arm, and they don't move, they just here, and you can feel that. Yeah, but you can feel that they need you. They stay, and that's the place that they have to be. They just need that. And now I think that period, that's what I want to remember, because that's when you do that every day on that specific period, you don't see that. You just see that you're sitting and you are not doing everything that you need to do in the house. So I think for my part, I did not enjoy enough this moment at the time when I was doing it. But now I just enjoy remembering that was so nice.
Yeah.
Because they just need you, and that's nice.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's so interesting, because I had to think about it for a second. It's been a little time. My kids are in college, so it's been a little, and I mean, listen, I've spoken very frankly about like family and like just getting overwhelmed with all the people, but the flip side, I had somebody who said something about seeing their family and like having their family see their baby as an immigrant, as somebody who had very little grandparents or memories of my I did not really meet my father's parents, and my mother's parents I knew when 7 or 8. Like I did not grow up with grandparents. And to have, like, when I look back, and again, you remember pictures can be very helpful, and they were multiple pictures of we had a house full of both sides of my in-laws and my parents as well. So Thailand and Brooklyn were in the house. There were a lot of people in the house, but they would fall asleep, or they would be holding the baby, or they would be like, and just knowing that my kid was around them, that was in their presence, in that home with them, even though it was chaotic and crazy. But I have pictures of my husband like reading a book about Kissinger, to my baby as they were and to our baby as they were falling asleep, and like just knowing that, as much as there's a lot of chaos, there is a lot of room for these quiet moments. Yeah. And I think that we do get caught up in a lot of the logistical pieces. That's why I'm like, as much as you can have that like kind of cleared away so you can just like have a moment of presence.
Yeah.
It really is the part that you will remember.
And that's because, yeah, that's. I remember you mentioned in the previous call that previous talk that stress tends to inhibit our ability to make memories.
Yes.
And if we look back at all the comments that we got, which are great, by the way, thank you everybody for sharing those precious moments with us.
Love it.
All of these are moments.
Yes.
And moment where you're present, and it can be a second long, it can be a week long, but nobody remember how well the house was catered for. This shower that you took, like nobody will remember any of that. What you remember is like the hug, the the eye contact, the spending time with your family, the moment of interaction between two children, stuff like that. So the more you manage to make room for those moments to happen, that's the beauty of what you're doing. And the guilt of like building more, I know I was the one mentioning that I wasn't making anything, but I was allowing myself to have those moments to look back on and to build the foundation for that love and trust and bonding that I then grew with my kid, right? So don't over rush into things for anybody who's pregnant and getting to that phase. Just be in it. Just be. Every day, just be. And the rest will.
Cecile, because if you think about your situation, you were in a very hectic, you had a family emergency. You had to throw your 6-week-old, right? And you onto a plane to France, right? So it's not like Ohio. Like you had to go flight. Further, right? But for you, I think because, again, you have that engineering background, right? So like, when you're home, like I always tell my husband, it's hard for me to relax when I'm at home, right? Because there's 1,000 things to do. With the baby, there's 1,000 things to do. But we almost, the universe almost had to like contain you. Like literally like throw you on a plane with your baby before you were able, right? To like connect.
Yeah.
In a way that was really meaningful. So as much as, we don't wish for family emergencies, but in some ways that was.
It breaks the cycle, right? And it brings you back to what's absolutely necessary. So indeed.
Yeah.
So let's go through the comments, and I think we're gonna pick our winner.
Yeah.
And drum roll. Do I drum roll?
Yeah.
Are you ready? And the winner of today's giveaway is Sammy J26. You're gonna get this little bundle here. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for participating. We'll contact you after this to get your information. So it was our first giveaway in one of those talks because we wanted to get you involved into what we're doing. We'll continue talking about postpartum because, as we said, there is good in that phase, and we're glad that in the comment we can see that, which is hard to see when you're in it. So make sure that, congratulations to the winner. Make sure that you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And enjoy, even if the laundry is not done, even if every second counts in making. And there is bonding that, like, stuff.com, I learned that recently, that there is hormone that flow from your body to your baby until like 2 years old, if I'm not mistaken, right, Dr. Perlman? So just having your baby on you is already like working. So don't feel bad about just like laying there and just having them on you and half napping or just like, snoozing a little bit, because this is beneficial to both you and them. And that's the reason why the laundry is not done, because the laundry is not going to bring as much as just holding your child on you if you feel like doing it, right?
Yeah. It's a really, and I do think, I always say, and I'm going to fit it in every single talk, that they're born the way they are to heal the family, and, in many ways, our world is so rushed and so like task oriented. And like you said, you get feelings like, what did I actually do today? Like, what did I actually do? And it's that kind of thing where, the baby, like just force it down to the basics. Like you're not going to feel like you did, anything, because in many ways, it's not about the list. It's really about the moments. It's really about being able to kind of like just have the energy to connect with your baby. That's really your number one goal. But the truth is that you cannot connect if you are sleep deprived. You cannot connect if you are emotionally like unfed. No, you can't connect if you're physically unfed. It just, it's an unrealistic expectation. So enough of that, right? Enough of that feeling, you know? So, I mean, I as you know, like we've been doing the doula outreach, right? And so I'm very excited to actually learn elements of being a postpartum doula, right? Now, you know, both of you are somewhat trained. What are things that you feel like in your training that they really emphasize for you to bring when you come to see the parents?
Well, one of the important thing in the postpartum doula world is that, I don't know for anybody who's listening if they're familiar with what a postpartum doula do, but she's an advocate and a help for a support person for the mother. Yeah. So a lot of people think that the postpartum doula is here to be a babysitter. That's not the case. The postpartum doula is here to support you,
The mom.
so that you have more time with your baby.
Yeah.
So that person, if you don't have somebody in your friend circle, in your in your family who can be a person who's just gonna make sure that you can do those like primer thing of like sleeping, eating, and take care of yourself,
Yeah.
the bare minimum, so you can relieve some of the stress and pressure to not be up to par. A postpartum doula would do that for you.
Yeah.
So whether it's like cooking the meals,
Yes.
doing your groceries,
Errands, laundry, or either if just sit with you and listen if you want to speak about the birth, about your emotion, about your feeling, just to be there and like validate that. Could be like a hard moment or could be like happy moment, just celebrate, or just be like a shoulder that you can lay on. So, and that's very mom oriented. It's not about the baby. Of course the postpartum doula will help with the baby, but it's only to elevate the mom, like to.
And it can be silly thing like if you're scared to go on your first walk with your child because you're like, oh, it's too many things. You can have your postpartum doula come on that first walk.
Yeah.
And she might not do anything, but the fact that you have someone there in case, I don't know, if you feel like you're walking to, because when you just had a baby, everything seems to be like, am I doing this right? Am I walking right? Am I in the right, the positioning of those strollers, they have so many different, like 25 different positions. Which one do I pick? Like,
How do I open the stroller?
Too many options. Like, is it face forward? How do I put that higher? So just having somebody who can be there and be like,
Relate, yes.
oh yeah, we're gonna go through that, and that also usually calms the mom a lot, which means there is not much work per se that's being done as a postpartum doula, but the mere fact of being here is like giving the mom the comfort to explore things and be there.
Be in a moment.
Exactly.
Because,
I mean, it's interesting because, again, it's been in front of me. I've met some postpartum doulas as a pediatrician because they would come to the visits when I would see them. It's interesting that, you kind of feel like you have to defend that the postpartum doula, again, is not the babysitter. No. It's really a guide, for the mother, right? And even myself, and part of the reason I think that I've worked towards, I would love to work as a postpartum doula as part of my space, even though I'm trained as a pediatrician, right? Because if my goal is to help the baby, you have to take care of the mom. Yeah. It doesn't work. So I can't tell you, and I think that that's just been the evolution of my own journey in terms of trying to heal people or be a part of their healing journey. I would see so many mothers at 3 days. I mean, it's not even like a week yet. And it was just this absolute feeling of just loss. Like they were lost. They didn't know where they were. They didn't know where to start. They didn't know.
Yeah.
And so I looked at this baby who was breathing, pink, gorgeous.
Oh, Sarah.
I looked at this mom. She looks like crap. She looks like crap, And I mean, even if there was a lot of people there, I could tell that like there was no care swimming towards her. And she was either giving it all to the baby or like she was giving it elsewhere, who knows. And so I was telling you, part of I'm so excited for this kind of postpartum doula training is because like I feel like a lot of it will resonate with me because if you really want to take care of this baby, you have to open the baby. You have to open up the doors, because if this mom's completely gone, what care are you imagining is going to happen for this baby?
And on that same note, when you do your registry, if you're pregnant, the best thing about everything we do, it's true for product, for diaper rash, it's true for everything in life. Prevention is the best way to go through that. It's not when you are postpartum that you're going to think about what is the best approach. Your brain might not have the bandwidth to do it, which is completely normal.
Right.
Right now in your registry, try to put items toward what we just said about the eat, sleep, and remove stress. So we talked about it in a previous talk. I would encourage you to read about that. But food delivery services,
Right?
Like all the postpartum doula services,
cleaning service for
cleaning services, like a postpartum doula in your bed. If you can't afford a postpartum doula, put that on your registry. Have people put like by hours. It's usually charged by the hour, and have somebody who's a professional. You're paying them, so they will do whatever you want them to do. They're not a family member that's going to judge what you're doing. If you want somebody to run up and down your stairs to bring you stuff, that's what they're going to do. So use that, because you don't need the gimmicks, you don't need the gadget. Nobody in their memory put, I remember that toy that I gave my kid, and nobody remember any of that stuff. You will remember the fact that you're not in one room doing laundry while your baby is sitting in that fancy Courier thing that moves by itself. Okay, so maybe that's a time to like look through your registry again and see what's putting something toward that eat, sleep, and stress factor that you're trying to tackle for that postpartum time that everybody goes through.
Yeah,
the registry should be called Mommy and Baby Registry. Because baby would need things, but mommy needs a lot
more.
So we should rename that. It's totally wrong.
Put your favorite dishes in there. So when people are like, what can I come and eat? Like, bring you, don't bring me something I don't like. Bring me the lasagna. Bring me, like my favorite salad. Bring me item number 23 on the menu of that specific restaurant, because that's the one I'm going to want. I'll try to go around to something else. So that's the time to be very specific and assertive, because your brain is there. You know what you like, and probably you're going to want to go back to that comfort known things after you have birth. So leave that there. And if people ask you, what do you want me to bring? Check my registry. I don't want to talk. You look there. I can't remember what I put in there, but back then it was making sense. So just, send them the link.
That's a lot.
I love that. I love the idea of like buying someone's services, because even if you buy clothing for I don't know how you guys were. My kids was like in a onesie for for months. Like I was just like, even nutrition, I would see like a 3-week-old coming in like a full dress, like a dress, and I was like, because I remember, and my kids were always born in the summer, but I remember trying to put like overalls on like a 4-week-old, and then I would always get all the buttons wrong, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not dressing my baby. Here's the one toy. Like, I don't need a big dress, And it's really like this fascinating, but I think services is fantastic, because
it's fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. And it just, the food and services, I think, is just like a big game changer. And again, like, it's not family, so you're not going to feel as like weird.
Just, you can start to build your village. That will be helpful at this time.
Is also very helpful at like teaching you how to articulate your needs as well.
Exactly, and to care for your baby, because they have that training too, and then to put you in touch with other professionals if you do feel like you need additional help with like mental health, physical health, like any kind of physical therapy, specifically because you just had a baby. They have a network of people around them that can help you with that too. So she would be a very strong component of your village, and she can help you grow in that new world, because people who are part of your village as a single person, as a married person, they might not be the best equipped to help you in your motherhood village. And so it's important to get people who have the knowledge and the mentality to be lifting you up. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that note, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for participating in our giveaway today. Congratulations to our giveaway winner again. Good job. Thank
Good
you.
job. Thank you.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks for episode number 16 of our Mom Talks with a French accent. Thank you, Dr. Perlman, for joining us today. Thank you all for watching, and we'll talk soon. Au revoir.
Bye.